I'm telling him if I sign y'all, you know what I'm saying, I want him to come with me. I'm saying that the whole time. And then another thing he kept saying, but he ended up saying, if they want you, they gonna have to pay me.
There is some trouble over one of the biggest records of the year, FNF. So obviously Glorilla's last 6 months have been nothing short of magical. It was spearheaded by a record produced by Hitkidd, what it do, man, who's also from Memphis. It was none other than Hitkidd that took to his social media account to address some issues that he's having with Glorilla and the label that she signed to. Hitkidd kicked everything off by saying this. So basically these folks are trying to take me to court over FNF because they want to own the song, but they want to own the song to put it on this EP, which both parties knew. So tell me how you gonna put FNF in your contract without telling me after I told you and your manager every day when we was in LA that labels are going to try to sign you because of FNF, so watch out. I also told you to let me know when labels reach out to you so we can be on the same page, but you still went and signed my song without telling me. I did my best to protect you and the girls. This is only a portion of what I've been through. I'm bringing light to this before word gets out like I'm the bad guy. I'm a stand-up guy, and I stand on business and morals. So Glorilla did respond to some of what Hitkidd had to say.
I'm telling him if I sign y'all, you know what I'm saying, I want him to come with me. I'm saying that the whole time. And then another thing he kept saying, it was, I can't remember exactly what it was about, but he ended up saying, if they want you, they gonna have to pay me. I forgot what amount he said. He just said between 100K or 500K. They gonna have to pay me for this song. He got the same thing after he kept saying labels called me. So I'm like, he on some other. So he's saying I use CMG lawyers. My lawyer is not a CMG lawyer. He was trying to get me to use his lawyer though. He was like, use my lawyer, use my lawyer. No, I'm not using your lawyer, you man, because I'm not using your lawyer. I used another lawyer, and he not CMG lawyer. Wrote that bar. He just said, say it again at the end. That's
Glow also added, he made so much money from FNF. I haven't made 1 red cent, but I'm still prospering because guess what? I can rap in real life. I ain't no motherfucking one-hit wonder. I wrote every single lyric in every single song I ever put out. And even after this, I still got love for Hitkidd because we came up together, even though he been going behind my back ever since the song blew. But that's another story for another day. I just hate the fact he had to bring the business to social media when I could have came out about the snake ish he been doing to me. One more thing before I log out. You signed the song away the first week without me knowing for $50,000 because you didn't know how big it was gonna be. Should I keep going? So actually a gentleman that I went to college with, shout out Kadeem. I believe he does some business here with Hitkidd, and he explained what's going on from his vantage point with Hitkidd and Glorilla and their record FNF. He said, let me address this from the business side because I see a lot of confusion. End of the day, Hitkidd did great business. He gave up 50% of the masters and 50% of the publishing for FNF directly to Glow. We actually did everything to protect Glow from the industry and herself. Honestly, Glow independently collects the money for FNF. It's all hers. She doesn't own the song and never will. We actually saved her from losing millions, and Glow was able to get a deal without having to sell her independent record. FNF was created to help all the girls, not for CMG. Luckily, Hitkidd still owns the song because we did a deal to keep the ownership. His deal was to only distribute the song and market it so that Glow as well as the other girls could be successful because they didn't have marketing at the time or a budget. Hitkidd paid for everything out of pocket to make sure not only FNF, but every song Hitkidd put out until we switched to using the budget that we have for an album, not FNF, which was used to make sure the girls was good. This is what happens when you open doors for people. They built the house with you to let someone else live in it, but this won't stop us from doing great business and creating a pipeline of success for Memphis. Well, it's really tough to speak on any of this, first and foremost, because I don't have access to the contracts. From what I'm reading, it feels like Glorilla and Hitkidd had some sort of split over the record FNF. And from there, we don't know what is truth and what's not true. Glorilla is claiming that Hitkidd signed over his rights to the record 1 week into it for $50,000. I don't have access to the contract. I have no idea if that's true or not. I've not talked to anybody about this one personally, right? I'm just going off of what was said in these posts. They said a lot, so I didn't feel like I needed to reach out to anybody. The other side is saying that Glorilla's not going to receive any type of compensation from the record until she makes back enough money with whatever her label situation is. She's got a couple different situations going on as CMG kind of middlemans that deal. They're heading to court. That is the best thing I can tell you is that's got to head to court, and that's unfortunate. It would be nice for them to work it out behind the scenes. Number one, you're blessed to be in a position where you got some motion. This is, I know it sucks being in it, I'm sure, but it's a good problem to have, all things considered, because a year ago you didn't have problems like this. This is some rich people problems, right? This is good problems to have in the grand scheme of life, right? Here's what I will say, though. I will say one thing, because narratives continue to get painted, and this is probably one of the conversations that I have the most, obviously, with my position. People, especially from Memphis, bring this up to me all the time, and it's a narrative that's been painted for years now, way before I was in this spot in the public space. And I just want to say this, right? Memphis is a prospering city in rap. I'd argue over the last 3 years for sure, maybe even 5. No city has put out more mainstream rap stars than Memphis. You go do the math. I'm talking about regions that are 6 times the size of Memphis have not put out as many stars. I'd argue Memphis has put out more stars than LA. I'd argue Memphis has put out more rap stars over the last 5 years than New York. Seriously, I mean that. Memphis has been that important to the game. Memphis, Atlanta, and Chicago have been 3 of the most important. And unfortunately, we're getting about 2 rappers a year, which is great. But unfortunately, we're not getting or pulling executives at the same clip. I mean, in theory, you'd think for one rapper, you know, with their teams, with smart minds around them that help grow them to the place to be signed, right? In theory, you'd think we're pulling up about 5 or 6 people. That's not happening right now. So for 1.5, 2 artists that are popping off in a major way a year, we're not pulling up a fair amount of executives or producers. We're not pulling them into that light with them. It's not enough. I've talked to producers behind the scene that have been offered deals, right? Whatever it was, the money wasn't good enough, whatever the situation wasn't right enough, we're not pulling executives out in the limelight at the clip that we're putting rappers. And if you continue to come in and optically it look like you're taking the most popping rapper out of the city, grow some momentum, if you come in and optically it feels like you're taking that rapper and signing them, helping them broker deals, but not taking the people that came up with them, the people that helped produce records with them, you are going to be looked away, period. It is going to be looked away. You just have to understand how a narrative like that could be created. If you continue to seemingly pull the rapper out, but not pull a requisite amount of people from their team out, a narrative is going to be created. Like, this is just simple stuff. And unfortunately, because of one of the biggest artists passing away nearly a year ago, we're not getting a lot of interviews right now. And then nobody's really talking right now to take up for themselves, if they want to or not. I'm just saying, I understand how a narrative of that magnitude is created, because it does look away if only the rapper can be taken. You know, how do you think a lot of these people feel that are in the trenches every day helping build these talents up? And I know some people from Memphis. Trust me, I got access to some people from Memphis behind the scenes. I know some big dogs in Memphis, actually. Man, I'm telling you, they feel the same way I do. They just don't have the platform to say or won't say it. I'm telling you, there is some talent in Memphis. I know some of these people. I'm telling you, some real talent outside of just the rappers. Like, it can't just be one, right? It can't just be you keep pulling rappers, but there are not some great stories to tell from the producer side, some from the executive side. But this narrative's been created. It's, number one, made it hard for those people to want to sign to you. And number two, it seemingly the deals ain't making sense to them. The deals ain't fair to them, what's being given to said artists. So that's a mess with this. I just said a whole bunch without saying a lot, if that makes sense. I said some stuff. You just got to read through cryptically what I said. I promise you I did. But this is likely heading to court. Prayers to all parties involved. some smart people involved in that one, some sharp people, and I believe when it's all said and done, some fair people, even though money can muck things up. Y'all will figure that one out. It just feels like the label wants that FNF on their album, and people don't like giving away money. But again, I just think in theory, this shouldn't even happen if more than just a rapper was given an opportunity to be a part of the bigger picture. A right opportunity, one that makes sense to them. Like the time and the courtmanship is invested into getting the producers, the executives linked to certain situations. If that was involved with as much as it is with the rappers, I think some of these narratives wouldn't get painted, and some people would be looked at more favorable than they are right now, because, you know, it is what it is. Thank y'all so much. Time, love, support is what your boy will never take for granted around here. I'm out.